We've all built cool AI agents before, but here's the truth. If your AI cannot survive production, it might as well be a prototype. Gen AI is powerful, but deploying it in the enterprise, that's where things get a little bit tricky. You have probably seen how prompt flows, vector search, and GPT models with LLMs alike can create magic. But questions soon follow. How do you control access to your LLM endpoints? How do you prevent overuse and token exhaustion? How do you roll out changes safely when your prompts or models evolve? How do you expose these capabilities to multiple teams or even clients without losing control? And this is exactly where Azure API management becomes your friend, and that's what we are here to master. Hello and welcome to the course. My name is Kuljot Singh Bakshi, and I am an undergrad student right now, currently in third year at the Indian Institute of Technology, IIT Bombay, a place known for its rigor and where only 0.1% make it in. I'm also a Udemy instructor with over 8,000 students and counting, a Microsoft certified trainer, and someone who's deeply passionate about generative AI and everything cloud. I call myself as M Singh, the Singh of Microsoft. If you would like to know more about the lab guides that I sell, please visit www.learnwithmsing.com. And these guides are a beautiful resource to master tech topics like Azure AI Agents, Azure AI Foundry, Microsoft Copilot Studio in just a matter of 8 hours, topics which would otherwise take you a month or so to master. Imagine you have multiple intelligent applications, mobile applications, chatbots, or enterprise tools, all powered by generative AI. Now, instead of connecting each app directly to your LLM endpoints, you route everything through a central AI gateway powered by Azure API management. Now, the gateway does a lot more than just routing. Let's take a look at some more business friendly use cases. On your screen, you have a couple of use cases with Azure API management instance and Azure AI. So going through the first use case, we have load balance breaker, which will ensure high availability and graceful failure handling. Then you have request validation and security, semantic caching to speed up responses by reusing similar LLM outputs, rate limiting and throttling, managed identity with Antra ID to authenticate securely without even storing secrets or client credentials, continuous deployment to ship new versions safely and iteratively, API monetization to track usage and enable paid access if needed, blue green deployments to deploy updates with zero time downtime, and highly scalable systems to build AI services ready for global scale. Now that we have a bit of idea about API management and Azure AI, let's talk a bit about how the course roadmap will look like. So the course is divided into three parts. The first part will focus on introduction to Azure API management, in which we learn about Azure API management, learn about API lifecycle, deploy and create APIs in Azure API management instance, set up policies, set up monitoring tools, and also learn about best practices for AI API design. Then we'll move on to the second part of the course, which is all about introduction to integration of Azure AI with API management. In this section, you'll learn about Azure AI Foundry and Azure OpenAI. You'll look how you can integrate Azure AI Foundry with API management instance. And the same goes for implementing Azure OpenAI with API management instance with a bit of Python SDK compatibility. And then we'll also take a look at how we can create tokens per minute rate limits and request throttling policies. Then we'll move on to the third part of the course, which is all about discovering and unlocking the secrets of some advanced use cases. And I like to call this part of the course as Azure API Management Loves AI. In this part of the course, we'll take a look at how you can set up semantic cache with Azure Managed Enterprise Cluster, integrate content safety filters with Azure API management policies, set up backend pools, and perform Entra ID authentication, and also take a look at how you can create load balanced pools with circuit breaker backends. Now, before you can enroll in this course, I just really want to make sure that we have a couple of checkboxes filled in. Yep, you heard that right. It's all about prerequisites. So learners are expected to have a solid understanding of generative AI fundamentals like what are tokens, what are LLMs, how do you call these LLMs, what do you mean by chat completions API, and stuff like that. I also expect the learners to have an exposure to Azure OpenAI and Azure AI, which would really help. Although I will do my level best to make you aware of the required knowledge, thus effectively bridging the knowledge gap. Number three, learners are expected to have a solid understanding of how the web works and RESTful APIs in general. And number four, last but not the least, some experience with API design would really help, although this is a point that I feel is not that critical of a decision to be made if you want to move ahead with the course or not. Now, speaking about what you will gain from the course. So, after completing this course, you'll become skilled at deploying scalable APIs with Azure API Management Service, become a master at building highly reliable, highly available, and fault tolerant AI systems, and get equipped with knowledge and concepts like rate limits, load balancing, circuit breaker patterns, API security, and multi region deployments. So, if you love the cloud, if you love generative AI, and if you love making things that actually work at scale, you're in the right place. So gear up. We are just getting started. I'll see you on the inside.